MJ here from MJ Games, and I got a bunch of cool updates to give y'all. Man, I'm tired. Me and Saya, King Saya that is, we was up stripping down our computers, reassembling them. I mean, this kid is a beast. He threw in a new power supply, did some awesome cable management, updated the graphics card. He had that thing ready in like 7 minutes and booted it up. I'm installing all of the drivers. It took me a little bit longer for my cable management because it was just a pain in the butt. But I tell you this, we got it done. And I'm going to give y'all some updates because I'm sitting here reading the news. I'm getting excited. So I'm going to start out with a game that we haven't even talked about yet on our channel. Total War. Warhammer. Oh, is that an amazing, epic game, dude. It's so gritty. It's full of combat. Wizards, warriors, giants. I mean, everything that's hot right now. But they got a new add-on, a DLC, I believe. And it's just it adds more gore and blood to the combat scenes. I mean, look, you can zoom in this game and you can literally see up close and personal your giants ripping people in half. So y'all really check that out. I want to do a gameplay of it, but I'm not even sure if we have it in our catalog. As soon as I get my hands on it, or if we have it, I'm going to throw one up next week. Star Wars Battlefront has sort of a single player. I mean, everybody raved about the multiplayer, and it was awesome. But with the lack of a single player, it just seems incomplete. So they have a mode called Skirmish, which allows, you and maybe a friend or some guys at the house offline go against bots. So you can mess around with the difficulty and you can dogfight, you can do all of these cool things. It's called Skirmish. I'm not 100% sure how it plays out because it hasn't arrived yet, but it's coming this week for all you guys and girls that play Battlefront. A lot of you guys love NVIDIA. Some of you are really Team Green over Team Red. I get it. I got an NVIDIA graphics card in one of my computers too. It's awesome. It's smooth. There are pros and cons to using NVIDIA graphics cards because async compute, things like that. But I'm not going to go into that conversation. NVIDIA just released, alongside of their latest driver, something called VR Carnival, I believe. I don't remember. I was watching it install, but it said VR. I swear I'm going to say VR Carnival. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me, but that NVIDIA VR experience that they were showing when they announced the 10 series GPUs, that's available for guys and girls who are using Oculus Rift and the Vive headset. And probably for guys and girls who are using the OS VR also. The Hackulus, they call it. So you can definitely get your hands on that. I think it's going to be awesome. VR is probably the thing of the future. I can't wait to start watching some horror movies. Oh yeah, and I put up Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered gameplay footage, 7 minutes of it, up on whatgames.blogspot.com. It looks light years better than it did when it first came out. And I mean, it was an epic game. It was great graphics for what it was, but it just looks so much better. I think you'll be impressed. I know I was. And I just can't wait to get my hands on it. And Pokemon Go is once again coming out of my mouth. I don't know how that sounded. But I guess there's a method to my madness. Pokemon Go is rapidly becoming the most successful game probably ever. I mean, listen, games like Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, Battlefield, Call of Duty, they've done amazing things. They've hit milestones, billion-dollar marks. But Pokemon Go is just realistically taking the whole industry by storm. I don't know if they knew it would be this successful, I don't know if they planned it to be this successful, but Nintendo stock went up 25% in one day. That's a massive increase. Like, somebody just became a millionaire from that. I mean, this game has stomped Candy Crush. It's destroying Clash Royale, and these are top-notch mobile games we're talking about. Alright, so I'm going to dive into it a little bit deeper, and I promise you I'm going to leave it alone. Listen, Minecraft sold over 100 million units, okay? And as of right now, today, Pokemon Go is just way more popular. I'm going to quote an article. It says, it's a fairly young game, of course, launching last week or 2 weeks ago in the U.S., and not even until today. Well, alright, this is an older article. So, first time Pokemon Go has become the most popular game in the world, and it's used more than Twitter, Google Maps, and Snapchat. It's currently 25 times more popular to search for than Grand Theft Auto, which in itself has sold over 65 million units. To me, that's quite ridiculous and impressive at the same time. I wish I would have came up with the idea, right? In fact, they're already bootlegging it. Like, they got other games copying Pokemon Go's format. I think there's a Ghostbusters game. I don't know, but yo, I'm telling you, they killed it. Well, let's move on. So, in the last YouTube video where we had King Saya do the news, he talked a little bit about Doom and their Vulkan support. Well, listen, Vulkan for Doom, this API tells a whole different story. It also exposes things that NVIDIA is doing with their older GPUs. For example, the 7 series GPU came out before the 9 series GPU. And obviously after the 9 series is the new 10 series GPU. I'll try to be as quick as possible with this one. The only 7 series GPU that still matters, is the 750 Ti. That still has driver support. It seems like NVIDIA is starting to drop drivers. They're not updating these drivers for cars like the 760, 770, the legendary 780 and the 780 Ti, the GTX 6GB Titan. I'm not talking about the Maxwell Titan. I'm not talking about the Titan X. I'm talking about the Titan, the $1,000 GPU. So, okay, so there's a Doom 1080p Vulkan Ultra graph that I'm looking at right now. And at the top of the graph, of course, is the GTX 1080 with 167 frames per second when they're using Vulkan versus DirectX 12. Second place is the GTX 980 Ti with 135. Well, I'm sorry, that's not second place, but that's the second card listed because that's technically the second, supposed to be one of the second or third best cards out. 1070, 980 Ti, 1070 is probably better, but we're not going to go there, it's not listed. But third is the R9 Fury X, which has horribly wet the bed with all of the benchmarks in comparison to the 980 Ti, and probably couldn't even strike a match at the 1080 just 3 or 4 months ago. Like, in January, all of the YouTube personalities who reviewed this card just gave up on it. Like, all of the tech guys just said that the Fury X, the R9 Nano, the R9, these cards are a waste of money. Just get a 980 Ti. It's less headache, less price. Well, Vulkan tells another story because of async compute that the 4GB Fury X is 140 frames a second. So that's 5 frames more than a 6GB 980 Ti. But the Nano is 124 frames a second, which is 20 frames higher than 2 GTX 980s in SLI. So something's going on here. either the NVIDIA cards aren't performing well in this with Vulkan at all. Like, they're not getting anything from it. Maybe because of that async compute hardware that AMD is trusted and went with. Because listen, two 980s in SLI for Doom couldn't beat the RX 480 8GB card, which is getting 110 frames per second. Okay, so a $200 card is performing better than two $400 cards working together. So I really believe that Vulkan, which is probably what DirectX 12 wanted to be, it's an APU that uses, it spreads the workload across different cores of the CPU. For example, if you got a quad core, then it allows all four of your cores to get involved in the heavy lifting of a graphically intense video game or product. I don't know what else they'll use it for. I think it's strictly video games, but I don't know. Trust me, I'm not the go-to guy on this. The thing that saddens me, though, is how useless Vulkan is for all of these high-end NVIDIA cards, with the exception to the GTX 1080. I mean, dude, it's like they're sending cards like the Titan to the graveyard. I mean, dude, it wasn't a long time ago where dudes were spending $900 on Titans. It wasn't a long time ago when a person thought they had 3 Titans in their Alienware configuration that they were God. Not right now. Not right now. Like, honestly, the GTX Titan is labeled right above the R7 370 in performance in Doom. 1080p ultra settings, Vulkan. Ultra settings. So the R7 370 with async compute is getting 56 frames a second, while the GTX Titan, Kepler Titan, is getting 65 frames a second. Dude, I can get an R7 370 for $85. I could today on eBay right now, and I can't touch a Titan for less than $400 today. And the worst of them all, one of my favorite graphics cards. When I got rid of my Alienware Area 51R2, I had a Kingpin Classified Edition 780 Ti right in there. And I thought I was giving somebody a birthday present. Like, I thought they were getting the cream of the crop. Well, Vulkan support on Doom, without Vulkan support 1080p Ultra, the 780 Ti is only giving you 42 frames a second on average. That's horrible for your Cadillac version of graphics cards at that time. Like, your high end. That was their top dog before the 980 came out. And with Vulkan, it only went up 5 frames a second. Same if you SLI, which means that I don't think Doom is optimized for multi-GPU. I don't think Crossfire and SLI matter with Doom yet. I think they have to upgrade their graphic. I don't even think they will. I don't even think they will. Dude, if you can get 56 frames a second with an $85 AMD card with Vulkan, why would you even need Crossfire? Just get a good card. The R9 280X, you can probably score that for $125 on eBay. The 280X, let me see where it's at on all this. Okay, 81 frames a second. I'm impressed by those numbers. 81 frames? That's a lot. Dude, average monitor or 50-inch TV or whatever you're playing on is 60 frames a second. Get a 280X, you up to 81 frames a second. Get a 290X, and you up above 100 frames a second. So, I don't know. It's sad. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. NVIDIA needs to do something about their async compute support. Because trying to do it, emulate it with software, it's not working yet. I don't care how strong your hardware is. A lot of these computers still can't emulate PS3 games. You dig me now? You got a 10-core processor. You can have two 1080s, and you still can't play a PS3 emulator at 30 frames a second. Which means that all of this new hardware you got still can't emulate old hardware. So, trying to emulate async compute with software, it's not working out. So you got to do something about that if you guys want to stay relevant with new APIs, because Vulkan makes sense. Vulkan is what Windows 10's DirectX 12 is supposed to be. Vulkan is how, like, Vulkan philosophy, if you will, is how people were playing Battlefield 4 with Mantle getting 80 frames a second with R7, R9 270s. You dig me? So, I'm going to move on. Nintendo announces the NES Mini. Classic console. I like classic stuff. I'm into nostalgia. I would purchase a fresh Nintendo, but now I don't need to, because the NES Mini comes out, and instead of trying to figure out a way to rig the RF switches to, plug into a new HD TV, it comes with HDMI support. So, kill two birds with one stone. Let's see what's going on. All right, so it's $60. It comes with 30 different games built in, some classics, including in those games. I'm not going to mention them all, but I think Mario 1, 2, and 3. You got Punch-Out, you got some Zelda games, you got Donkey Kongs, you got the stuff that people would want, that would make you want to buy this game. And I know a lot of you guys are like, well, we can just emulate, but emulation isn't necessarily ownership. So I can't tell you to go ahead with emulating versus purchasing, because if you purchase this, you own that. If you emulate that, I don't really know how you got your hands on the ROM files, or if you legally could even have a backup to that game in ROM format, because you may or may not have the original. So I'm not going to get into the legal stuff, but here's your way of owning this game versus just breaking the law. I'm with it. I love Nintendo. I can't wait to see what they do in their next phase of consoles, because what they're doing in affiliation with Pokemon is genius. It's genius. It's like they always find a way to use technology to save their company. It's just genius. The Wii was genius at its time. Wii U was a little too ambitious with the bulky controller. Maybe they overshot, under-delivered, but Pokemon Go is just... I'm still saying this crap. I promised you guys 10 minutes ago I wouldn't even say it again. But it was genius. Nintendo console Mini looks amazing. It belongs in my game shop. It supports Wii controllers. I love that. I'm getting it. Personally, I believe that you have to buy peripherals to go with it. I don't know if it comes with anything but the system. I remember when Nintendo first came out, man. I remember how I felt. Got one for my birthday. 1986. Duck Hunt. Zapper. Cardboard box. I saved the box. I put it on my top shelf in my room. I played that thing as much as I could. I had 2 games, and they were both on one cartridge. And I played those things until the cartridge wouldn't work anymore. You had to blow into the cartridge to make it. I don't even know. It wasn't dusty. You still had to blow into the cartridge. It was like turning limeish. It was rusty. I just remember I'm down. Nostalgia has set in. I'm getting it. Anybody like the company Razer? I do. Razer's cool. Those are the guys who created that OS VR. What I call a Haculus. But it's basically a VR headset. I think it's 1920 by 1200 in each lens, which is really, really good, comparable to the Oculus and the Vive, and I believe it's only $399 or $300. So you get your hands on that headset, you're already in the game to play these other games on these other kind of systems. Comparable hardware, but I'm not talking about that. They just released a mouse called the Abyss V2. Now, usually the Razer gaming mice go for $90, $100, $150. They can get expensive. Well, this one is a back to basics gaming mouse. And it's $50 US, 50 pounds also. And it's designed for high-end gaming, but on a budget. That's been like the new narrative. You know, guys have been doing their homework. Instead of just creating this beautiful device and selling it for $300, they've been reading on what consumers are actually spending or willing to spend, i.e. AMD, with the $200 price point. And that's how they're dominating right now. And I know NVIDIA is doing something with the 1060 coming back strong, but that's not my point. AMD came out, did their homework, and even if NVIDIA wins the battle in the long run this year or next year, when Vega comes out and all of these other things hit, AMD did their homework, which put them in the lead right now, which made them the king. And it looks like Razer is just taking a page out of their book like that was genius. Let's create a $50 mouse, which is about 30 to 50% cheaper than all of their other gaming mice new. So I own a gaming mouse. It's one of those cyber power, what is it called? iBuyPower or PC configuration mice. It came with that. It was a keyboard, a mechanical keyboard in this mouse. The keyboard didn't last long. The mouse is still going, and it's really responsive. I love it. I don't game with it. Just use it as a regular mouse. But I would love to get a Razer mouse, and for $50, I'm with it. I'm in. A little bit of NVIDIA rumor news. It's just a rumor that the GTX 1060 3GB may only cost $149. So that's a cold $100 cheaper than the 6GB is rumored to cost. But NVIDIA is really not good at keeping their word on price points, because the 1080, if you look one up right here, if I was streaming this, I would literally open up my browser and look it up. I would look at all of the stores, I would look at all of the eBay, I would look at Amazon, and I'm telling you, you ain't finding a 1080 for what they said you would. You're not finding a 1070 for what they said you would. The 1070 is supposed to be comparable to the 980 Ti price. 980 Ti's right now you can get in the 400s. You're supposed to be able to grab yourself a 1070 for 400 and something. Tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe $499 at the most. And I believe that the 1080 is supposed to be $600. I'm seeing them for $1,000. I'm seeing them for $900, $800. I haven't seen one for under $800 yet. So I'm hoping that if I can get my hands on a 1060 for $200 or $250, that's reasonable. A 3GB 1060 for $150. Now, I got a bunch of little computers around here that can use a 3GB 1060. That's reasonable. If not, I'm going to go with the RX 480s. It's easier to grab. RX 480 heavily outperforms any console system out at console price. So, but if the 1060 comes out at $149, that's used console prices, so that's even better. But they also coming out with a 1050 that should release in December. I'm curious because the 1060 and the 480 are like entry-level VR graphics cards. The 470 won't meet requirements, nor will a 1050, or will they in future? Like, will graphics requirements relax a little bit with better APUs attached to some of these games? That's a really interesting question. So I'm just curious. Hey, look, I'm newsy. I'm like y'all. AMD and Farasix. Okay, AMD and Farasix partner up to unlock DirectX 12's full potential in the new Civilization game. I'm quoting this. With the internet abuzz with talk regarding the Vulkan graphics API, devs are taking time to throw their support behind various game program interfaces. Earlier this week, id Software claimed that DirectX 12 is just pointless compared to its rival, which is Vulkan. While on the other hand, Farasix and AMD will work together to bring out the beast in DirectX 12. So AMD, they don't believe DirectX 12 is such pointless. It obviously is not as good as Vulkan. It's not as good as Vulkan, but it's not scrapped yet, you know. I mean, look, DirectX 12 works. Some games you get some really good frame rates, some games you don't. DirectX 11 worked. It's just that they're all temperamental. They all work the way they want to work with what cards they want to work with. Get it? So, I mean, Vulkan is the hottest thing, but it only really works with Doom right now. Okay. And DirectX 12 is the hottest thing, but there's about 8 titles that really get benefit from DX12. And then there's only a few cards that really show off on DX12. And that's like the AMD with async compute. So, and the 1080 shows off on everything it touches. And so does the 1070. Microsoft will not be at GameCon this year. They've announced they're going to be a no-show in Cologne this year. I wonder why. They said they'll be hosting a media briefing explaining that. Okay. And everybody knows about Ubisoft's 30th anniversary. Splinter Cell's free on Uplay. I'm not sure if Splinter Cell is yet backwards compatible on Xbox One. And I'm sure you could probably find it on PS4, but I don't know if it's free through those. But I know for a fact it's free on Uplay. Too bad I already owned it because I bought a Humble Bundle that had everything from Tom Clancy. Rockstar could be planning to announce Red Dead Redemption 2 at GameCon. I got a whole Red Dead Redemption story. So Red Dead Redemption is one of the latest backwards compatible titles, as King Saya mentioned in his news clip on YouTube. It was $7 for Xbox Live Gold members the day of its release. So, I was talking with Orphan Maker last night while I was streaming Battlefield 4. He said that it's $29. I said, no, it's $7. So I go, literally while I'm streaming, I stop Battlefield, open up a browser, go in the check from Xbox.com, and the game's $30. Not only is it $30 in Xbox, but it's $30 on eBay, and it's $30 on Amazon. And these are hard copies, eBay and Amazon used. So it's $30 all around the board because of its popularity associated with backwards compatibility. Well, maybe that's a hint that Rockstar should start letting people know that Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming. People want that. Freaking spending $30 for a used, scratched up disc. People want that. You dig me? I want that. And I got about 30 more seconds to chat with y'all, so I think I'll end with Grand Theft Auto 5. They're getting a redux. Is that how you pronounce that? Redux? R-E-D-U-X? I thought that was because you know how in French the X's are silent, but And it's coming out in October. I'm in August. I'm sorry, I'm a little sleepy. It's coming out in August. It looks fantastic. It does. There's a lot of upgrades. There's a lot of upgrades to the graphics. And it's probably a complete overhaul. The only problem with, modding your Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC is Rockstar does not play that. So if they find out that you have anything modded, single player or multiplayer, they will suspend you for a couple weeks, couple months, maybe indefinitely. They do not allow hacks and mods unless it's something that they release. So play the GTA 5 Redux at your own risk, 100%. And I will put a video up on whatgames.blogspot.com of the GTA 5 Redux. 1080p, 60 frames a second, all gorgeous detail. I want you guys to check that out. This is MJ from MJ Games Channel. And I'm signing off. Peace.